What's up, everyone? Aaron Nagler here, PackersNews.com, live on Facebook late in the day on Tuesday. Jumping on, as is my wont, late in the afternoon to see what's on the mind of Packers fans across this great land of ours, and indeed across the world. Always have people checking in from overseas. Slow news day, not a lot going on out of the excitement of Randall Cobb's injury news yesterday. Fairly calm today. At PackersNews.com just went up our preview of the Washington Redskins. Our opponent preview series rolls on. Michael takes a look at the revamped offense in Washington. I've made a video to accompany it. Make sure you check that out. PackersNews.com for all the latest on the Packers. Hello, everyone jumping in the comments. Always nice to see you. Corbin, what's up, man? Thanks for jumping on. Rochester, New York, what's going on up north? Brian Nagler's here, everybody. My cousin is in the house, so watch yourselves. Daryl, what's up, man? Thanks for joining. Joe, how are you? Russ, hello. So yeah, like I said, not a whole lot going on news-wise, but always something to talk about when it comes to the Green Bay Packers. I know family night tickets are going on sale pretty soon, so if you are going to be in the Green Bay area or reside there, make sure you get those. They do go rather fast. Josh, yes, starts us off with reaction to Aaron Rodgers coming in at number 10 in the NFL Media Top 100 Players list, which is voted on by his peers. I was actually surprised he's that high, considering he missed as much time as he did last year. It is supposed to be traditionally based on the year it's coming off of, which is 2017, where Rodgers didn't even play the majority of the games. I think, obviously, his absence shows how important he is to the team, although that is not supposed to be the criteria for voting on that list. But yeah, I think 10 is, reasonable. I think it makes a lot of sense given how much time he missed. I don't think there's a player in the NFL or a fan or a coach who would tell you that he isn't one of the most talented players in the league. But it is interesting to see where he is thought of in relation to his peers. And of course, this is only a small section of the players in the NFL. It's not a complete voting from every player in the league, so you have to take it all with a grain of salt. As I tell everybody, I enjoy the top 100 list simply because of the work that NFL Films does on each selection. All of the stuff that they put together there in New Jersey for each player, the interviews, the highlights, the sound on the sideline, I love all of that. The list itself, I just ignore it mostly. It's peak off-season content. It does this, it generates conversation, and that's fine. But for the most part of it, it's nothing to get bent out of shape about. In reality, there are not 9 other players better than him. In whose reality? According to the gentlemen who play on the field between the white lines each and every week, you are incorrect. Is there a decent slot wide receiver in the market to pick up? Nobody that leaps to mind. I would tend to think they'll stick with what they've got. They'll run Montgomery there and train those young guys as much as they can. Who's your breakout player for the 2018 season? Ooh, good question. I'll go with Emmanuel Byrd. How about that? How is Cobb doing? We don't really know, since we haven't really had access to him, other than Michael running into him at the airport yesterday, or 2 nights ago actually now. But we'll undoubtedly speak to him as soon as camp kicks off in a few weeks, and all reports say that he'll be eased into action. His readiness for week 1 is not in question. Hello, Louisville, Kentucky. What's up? Is Des Bryant more likely than Jeremy Maclin? In so much that either one of them are likely. I doubt seriously that the Packers call either one of them, but I think Des Bryant probably makes a little bit more sense, but like I said, I don't think that either one of them will be a serious consideration. Any news on Bart Starr's health? Nothing recent that I've heard. Is the defensive scheme dramatically different? Yeah, I would say so. I know it's still based in 3-4 principles, which would lead one possibly to believe that they are going to be similar, but Pettin does a is a lot different when it comes to attacking each offense individually week by week, whereas Dom really tended to lean on his zone blitzing principles regardless of opponent. I don't think Pettine will be hesitant to deploy 4 down linemen if he deems it necessary and or prudent. And I think these guys will be cross-trained to do a lot of different things, but I do think you'll see a lot more pressing at the line of scrimmage and a lot fewer 10-yard cushions on the outside. Whom do you see thriving most in the new defense, or what position group? Good question. I think the secondary will be markedly better, simply because of scheme and coaching. It's way too early to give a name individually. Let's get to camp and see these guys in pads. Are all the Packers going to stand for the national anthem? My initial reaction, honestly, is who cares? But in reality, I suspect yes, they will all stand for the national anthem. Rodgers ranked 10 is just a number, not important in the big picture. John, I completely agree. What player intrigues you the most? That's a good question. I would probably say either, I don't know, Oren Burks probably, just because I really wonder about his ability to get on the field on early downs. I know they're talking up his versatility and his ability in the passing game, but if he's so specialized that he can't help them on early downs, and he becomes just a kind of a third and long type player. Obviously it's early. He's a rookie. He's got to work into the rotation and prove what he can do. Again, this is all without seeing anybody in pads, so it's really hard to say. But I do think Burks has some intriguing upside. Will you be at the Packers versus the Rams games? I should be. I should be at all the games. Joan, what's up? Long time no see. Can Aaron Rodgers pass Brady as the best of all time? Well, first of all, Cody, I don't think Brady is the best of all time. I think the greatest modern quarterback that I've ever seen is Joe Montana, and the greatest all-time ever to lace him up is Johnny Unitas. That is just my opinion, but can Aaron Rodgers overtake Tom Brady in the mind of the public? It's a tall order. He would have to go on a serious streak of helping the Packers win championships to even begin to get into that conversation. I don't think there's anybody on earth with an unbiased pair of eyes that would tell you that Rodgers isn't one of, if not the most talented thrower of the football currently in the NFL. However, the game is a lot more than that, and obviously Tom Brady has accomplished a lot more. That doesn't mean that Rodgers isn't talented. It doesn't mean he can't do it. He just hasn't been afforded that opportunity yet. I do think he will win another Super Bowl before he retires. Oh, there we go. Sorry, guys, I lost you there for a minute. But I think it's a tall order to say Rodgers has to catch up with Brady. I don't think that's realistic, given the circumstances. But I do think he can make a good run for it here in the back nine of his career. Joe, who wins the North? Ask me again at the end of August. It's way too early. AJ, right tackle. I think they're going to throw a smorgasbord of people out there waiting for Brian Bulaga to get healthy and see who holds up the best, whether that's Jason Spriggs, whether that's Byron Bell, whether that's Kyle Murphy. We'll see. That's what camp is for. Okay, guys. Let's not make the comments section about the freaking national anthem stuff. Please, I beg you. Can we stick on football? Just for me. Or I'll just shut it off. Thanks. Rodgers has already overtaken in a lot of people's eyes based on his abilities already. Paul, I would agree with that in Green Bay and Packer fandom, but all you got to do is look around the internet for any argument when it comes to Brady versus Rodgers, and you will see an overwhelming majority of fans of other teams, obviously including the Patriots, but general NFL fans, will give it to Brady. And, it's hard to argue with the accomplishments and the hardware that he has. But I do, like I said, I think Aaron has more than enough time to make up some ground. Cool, Mickey. See you later, man. Bigger upside, Jackson or Jair? Ooh, that's a good question. it's interesting because I think in this defense, I think Josh Jackson has, the sky's the limit as far as his ability to play man on the perimeter and be a ball hawk. I think Jair will be asked to do more, and I got to see him obviously in pads against NFL level talent, but that's a good question. I'll probably say Jair just because of his athletic ability, but I definitely wouldn't be sleeping on Josh Jackson. How do you think Graham is going to be better than Cook? I don't know, Alan. I guess it depends on how you define better. I do believe that, he will open up the offense much like Cook did. Obviously, he's not as fast as Cook, and there may be plays where Rodgers looks for him, downfield on a third and locks in on him, much like he did with Cook. But I think his presence alone will do more for the offense than anything else, and that will be very similar to what Cook did. It was people who were, you go back to the end of 2016 when they quote ran the table. Cook coming back, it was his presence more than anything else. I mean, he was a bit productive. He did catch the ball, got some first downs. He was made some important catches, important plays. Obviously, none more so than the playoff game in Dallas. But it was his presence, and Mike McCarthy talked about this unquantifiable way he affected the offense and what the defense had to do to try and stop them. I think Graham will have that type of effect. And now you pair him with Mercedes Lewis, then you're really cooking with gas. So I do think Graham will help open up the offense in a way that will allow them to be really multiple and really dictate to the defense. But it's hard to say he'll be as good as Cook because it really depends on what what area of the game you're talking about. Is Rodgers' shoulder 100%? I see he's playing a lot of golf. Yeah, if you're following him on Instagram today, you saw him out on the course. He's told us he's got no restrictions and he's 100%. That's what he said in the offseason program. And until I see it on the field, I got to take the man at his word. We'll see him open it up there, usually on the third or fourth day of camp, and that should tell us a lot. Can Graham draw double teams? I think he can, and it's not so much. I don't think he needs to draw double teams, so to speak, but I do think it will be a question of where the defensive coordinator wants to roll coverage. If he rolls to Devontae, that should leave Graham one-on-one with somebody. And if Graham gets hot, say Rodgers looks for him early and often, especially in the red zone, then the defense has to adjust, and maybe then he gets double-teamed, and that opens up Devontae. So I think you're going to see a lot of that, a lot of cat and mouse, a lot of chess maneuvering, so to speak. And the weapons that the Packers have should be able, like I said, to help dictate what they want to do to the offense. What are D'Angelo Yancey's strengths to make this roster? He's got to become more consistent. That was a big problem last year early in camp. He really came on at the end of the summer, but it wasn't enough to make the roster. I do think that he has the ability to be one of the classic flankers in the West Coast offense. Obviously, guys have come through Green Bay and made that a real, what is Javon Walker, Sterling Sharp, etc. I'm not saying he's at that talent level. Clearly, he's not. But he can be that type of receiver. He's just got to be consistent. He's got to make the most of every single opportunity he can because he's not going to get a ton because he's not going to be running with the first team, maybe not even the second team. He's going to get a lot of those third and fourth team reps. And when he steps on the field and gets that chance, he's got to make the most of it. Who's the better contract bargain, Bakhtiari or Adams? I got to say Bakhtiari. Bakhtiari was a steal almost, a month after he signed that deal. Comparative to what he could have got on the open market. I know Adams is the fourth highest paid wide receiver at the moment in the league. I do think you saw this offseason, there were, that you can find starting caliber wide receivers in free agency. The Packers went after a few, whether it was Watkins or Robinson, but, starting lockdown left tackles like Bakhtiari, they are very hard to find, and when they do hit the market, they make a boatload of money. So, as much as I do think Adams is a deal for the Packers, I got to say Bakhtiari between those two. What will Cobb get next year, especially after what Landry got? You got to think that's big time what he's gunning for this year, which is why coming out early injured is never a good way to start things. But if he can play all 16 games and put up some some decent numbers, he's going to get a lot of money. Now, is that going to happen in Green Bay? I tend to doubt it, but we'll see. It really depends on his production, because obviously that has waned over the course of the last few years. Some of that has been injury related, some of that has been due to the offense, etc. But if he can put together 16 games and be as productive and as dynamic as he was, say, even early this past season when Rodgers was healthy, he should see one final really nice payday. But, right now, you look at that contract that Landry signed, and the Cobb deal doesn't look so terrible. Now, of course, it's all relative to your salary structure and the guys you're paying around this team, but I think he can strike it big one more time. Now, maybe does he have a good year and decide to stick around in Green Bay to play with Rodgers for a little less money they can make on the open market? I think that's a possibility too. Any players making an impression on Pettine so far? Not that he's really talked about. He's been very vague about everything. The few chances we've had to talk to him, but like he said, it's the honeymoon period. They haven't given up a point. They haven't surrendered a yard. Let's get to camp, see guys hitting, and I'm sure he'll start to get a little more vocal about things. David, should I be at work? Yes, David, you should be at work. James says 14-2 in a Super Bowl win. You heard it here first. Well, there you go. There you go. Internet comment told you here in June, whatever it is, 20-something. Does Mike McCarthy allow Aaron Jones to blossom? I doubt it. I think it'll be running back by committee unless Aaron Jones absolutely blows people away. Brian, the college visit went very well. Thank you. Would you be surprised if the defense finished in the bottom half of the league? Yes, I would. Should the Packers look at Connor Barwin? No. They had a chance to sign him last year and they didn't do it. I don't understand. I don't think a year of wear and tear is going to make him more attractive. And I think they really like Reggie Gilbert and Vince Beagle, and they're going to let those guys come to the fore. Matthews last year, that's another guy that it really depends on how productive he is. He played really well last year. I know people are going to look at the box score and look at the lack of sacks and say he's not worth the money, but he was a very, very good defensive player for them last year. Now, obviously, when you're getting paid big bucks, you're expected to produce, and Matthews hasn't done that. But if they can come to some kind of arrangement, I think they extend him and make him, basically a Packer for life. But we'll see. It really depends on how his season goes. Do you think we have a top 10 defense? Nick asked me after the first couple weeks of camp. So I get a good idea of what the heck we're looking at here. Is Appleton soft versus Green Bay? I don't know. In what regard? That's a really interesting question. Any guess on what Rodgers' contract will look like? $100 million guaranteed to start, and I guess they'll work up from there. Do you see Allison making a jump this year? Daniel, I think he'll get more opportunities simply because he's next in line and he knows the offense better than anybody he's competing against. I think his athletic ceiling is a bit limited, but Rodgers has shown he trusts the guy. He's going to throw him the football, and heck, if you're just in the right place at the right time in this offense, you're going to be productive, and I think he has that chance. All right, everybody, I'm going to have to jump. Thank you so much for all the questions. I'm sorry if I couldn't get to yours. Let me know, via email or Twitter what's on your mind. We can always, stir it up there online, socially, or via email, or here on Facebook Live. Always happy to talk some Packers. Thanks a lot, everyone. Check PackersNews.com for all the latest. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.